Alright, so I had a really hard time deciding whether or not I should even make this video, considering that everything that I'm going to be talking about is not going to apply to everyone. But of course, because Niantic has been making so many missteps over the past couple of months, I wanted to share some of my thoughts regarding how Niantic could course correct and rebuild that trust with the Pokemon GO community. There's a lot of things that they could do that the Pokemon GO community would love to see, and I just kind of wanted to list them off here. So that's what this video is going to be all about. Let's roll the intro and get right into it. And how's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Count here with a brand new Pokemon GO discussion video. Today I kind of wanted to just take some time and share some thoughts on what Niantic could do to improve Pokemon GO as well as rebuild the trust with the Pokemon GO community. I think a lot of players have been very frustrated with Niantic and some of the decisions that they've been making, and I really do think that a lot of it just comes down to just miscommunications and just not being in touch with the community. And that's kind of where I wanted to start. I think Niantic needs to build an open communication with the community. Of course, recently the community came together with an open letter and Niantic actually responded. They actually communicated with the community. I would like to see more of this. I've been saying this for the longest time, but I think it would greatly benefit Niantic if they had someone make daily blog posts or even a weekly blog post just giving developer thoughts and feedback regarding some of the decisions that are going on in Pokemon GO. Even the littlest things like what we could look forward to would definitely be something that a lot of players would welcome. I think it goes without saying, Niantic has always had a troubling history with communication. I mean, when it comes to the Pokemon GO community, a lot of them have made it known that they do not want to be left in the dark, especially if Niantic makes very controversial decisions, like recently with the retraction of the pandemic bonuses. Like, if Niantic could actually communicate a lot more with the community, I think it would definitely alleviate a lot of the stress and frustration that players tend to feel. So yeah, the first major change that I would suggest is having a daily or weekly blog that players could read and figure out what Niantic is thinking. Of course, Niantic does explain themselves in blogs every so often, but this really should be a weekly thing. Now, the second thing that Niantic could definitely do to improve relations with the community is add a lot more transparency to their game. Of course, I'm talking about the loot box and gacha mechanics that are currently in the game, like egg hatching and raid shiny rates. A lot of these should be disclosed to the community in a more transparent way. Of course, recently they did add a lot of different things that does add a bit of transparency, like in terms of what actually hatches from eggs. Like, we don't have to go to the Silph Road Reddit in order to figure that out. We could actually see it in game with every single egg, and I do appreciate that. But I do think they need to give specific percentages, like a lot of gacha games do that, and because hatching eggs is the gacha mechanic for Pokemon GO, I think it could definitely benefit the game if they were to actually set the right expectations among players. And then of course there is the shiny rates from raids and community days. People have discovered that for the first couple of days the shiny rate is actually 1 in 20 raids, whereas nowadays it's actually 1 in 50. Somewhere along the way Niantic made a change and had the shiny rate be a lot lower, and that created a lot of frustration with players because Niantic did not disclose that. I really feel like this is something that Niantic needs to do, even though it might hurt their bottom line. But in general, it's going to be a lot healthier for the game. It's going to add to the game's longevity. And of course, it's going to build that trust with the community. Now, the third thing is obviously with gameplay. There's a lot of things with Pokemon GO that they really do need to explore. First and foremost, of course, I do think they need to reconsider their retraction of all the pandemic bonuses, more specifically with the double distance for interacting with Pokestops and gyms. I think this one particular mechanic mechanic was such a huge quality of life improvement, and I really think they need to focus in on that, the player experience. If they're making a lot of different design decisions, then they need to make sure they have the player experience in mind. They should have known that this is something that players would have desperately wanted, because it definitely added a lot more accessibility to the game, especially for disabled players, and it created a lot of opportunities for players to actually play, especially those that play in rural areas. And if they're trying to come up with new and exciting features, then they do need to keep player experiences in mind. We are not asking for much when it comes to Pokemon Go. There's a lot of systems in the game that are already a lot of fun, and for Niantic, all they really need to do is make these fun mechanics even more fun and a lot more accessible. I mean, it's a very simple job and they really do not need to convolute it, but it seems like that's their tendency, and this is something that they need to stop. Players are not asking for complexity. They're just asking for some of the current systems to be continuously improved. And that brings me to another note. I really think Niantic needs to take a step back and focus in on bug fixing, because there's a lot of bugs that have persisted throughout the years that Niantic has still not fixed. Now, I don't think it would hurt the game long term if they were to hold off on adding new features and just focus in on polishing the game and making it run a lot better. I know it's going to be a lot trickier than a lot of players may realize, and this is something that I totally understand because I used to be in mobile game development. So I know that with all of the hundreds of different devices that are currently out there, it's going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to optimize Pokemon Go for every single device. I'm fully aware of that, and I could totally understand that this is something that Niantic has always struggled with, because it's something that most game developers have struggled with when it comes to mobile gaming. But regardless, there are a lot of bugs and issues that are just universally a problem. Like, for example, around raids, there's just been a lot of different bugs that have prevented players from actually completing raids and even losing out on raid passes. These are some of the things that Niantic needs to tighten up. And then of course with the Go Battle League, there's been just a plethora of issues that has prevented it from being fair and competitive, like with a lot of the lag issues and a lot of the connectivity issues and sync issues. All of these things are things that Niantic should be focusing in on, rather than adding new gameplay and new mechanics that nobody is asking for. I mean, I know the outcry recently was around the whole Pokestop distance nerf, but the PvP community has had an outcry for the last year and a half, and I really feel like it's about time that they had their concerns and issues addressed. I mean, PvP is a very big part of Pokemon Go, regardless if you are active in it or not. It's definitely a crux of the game, and if Niantic continues to neglect it, it's definitely going to hurt the game in the long run. So yeah, when it comes to gameplay, it really comes down to bug fixes and quality of life. I really feel like Niantic should just focus in on these for the next coming years, and the game will do a lot better. And it will build a lot of trust with the community, because it means a lot of the community concerns are being addressed, and players definitely like to see that. So yeah, these are just some of my thoughts regarding how Niantic could rebuild the trust with the community and what they could do to improve Pokemon Go for the future. I would love to know your thoughts, because this is just really just scratching the surface when it comes to improving Pokemon Go, and I know a lot of players have a lot of different thoughts regarding how they would like to see the game improve, so definitely share them down below. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if it's your first time here. I'm Count Jinsula, be safe, have fun, and I'll catch you all later.